Midvale Slag site and the adjacent Sharon Steel site are located just south of Salt Lake City in Utah, and they were a part of a large mineral processing complex where the mill was on what we now call the Sharon Steel Superfund site, and the smelter buildings were, for the most part, on the Midvale Slag Superfund site.
Midvale has a history in mining. At one time, all of the railroads converged at Midvale, connecting mining operations throughout the state. It was the lifeblood of the community. People worked for mining, and mining paid our bills.
Eventually, the industry changed, fortunes changed, and the buildings shut down and left a large area in Midvale basically unusable.
The property that was used with those old technologies was left as brownfields or worse, in our case, Superfund sites. They were contaminated. They weren't safe.
I remember driving past the site and it was just piles of black dirt. It didn't really look like anything. It was a place that the public was not allowed into at all, and it was a place that was kind of an eyesore.
So obviously the mining operations and the technology of the time were dangerous. They left behind problems.
The Midvale Slag site has been in the CERCLA program since 1982. I actually got involved in 1997. Relationships between the landowner, the city, and EPA were not good in 1997. In many ways, people had locked horns. EPA was interested in aggressive enforcement. The landowner thought that they were being unfair, and the city was caught in the middle of it. So there were inconsistent goals amongst the parties, number one, and two, they had been fighting for a very long time. At that point in the process, it was fairly novel to raise the concept that remediation and redevelopment could be done together.
There was a lot of resentment and anger over the fact that the Sharon Steel site had been capped, and at that point there wasn't any vision for how that could be reused. So one of the first things I heard was from the city and the community is they wanted it to be different than Sharon Steel. The property owner was very interested in getting the property redeveloped, very interested in participating, but also wary because he wasn't sure what Superfund would ultimately require of him. We didn't know because we didn't know what the cleanup was and what it would cost. So we couldn't give any assurance of that. All we could keep doing was keep the dialogue open and keep talking.
The first obstacle was trying to find a way to get all the parties on the same page, if not with the same goal, with goals that were consistent and could work together.
If you're going to have a compatible solution, it has to be a group process. So the EPA is involved, your state environmental quality is involved, your staff, your staff of your community or your county, or the communities involved have to form a working group that meets constantly, keeps citizens informed, because everybody wants to know what's going on.
The CSFM group feels like there was really good communication between all the groups, between EPA, UDEQ, Midvale City, the property owners, the county, all of the people who kind of came together and were working on cleaning up the site. I think were very open in listening to the ideas and the concerns.
Many of our sites, especially mining sites, but other sites too, the sites are too large to remove all the contamination to levels that allow for unlimited use and unrestricted exposure. So we needed to find a way to not only do the cleanup successfully, but then allow reuse to happen in a way that would be protective over time.
The main purpose of the cleanup is to protect the health and safety, but you can't leave it with just that. The second criteria must be that the property must be left in a condition that could have a beneficial reuse. That beneficial reuse may have to be defined in terms of the remediation. But you can't leave it as a vast wasteland with a lot of unknowns.
We saw the two Superfund sites as an opportunity to grow the community and address some of the overall needs, both economically and recreationally, and just in terms of having a greater variety of places to live and work and shop.
One thing you find about this site and what excites a lot of people is because it was undeveloped, you just don't find 200 acres sitting in the middle of a city. And what it's allowed for is for people to start over, to start fresh, to look at it as a blank canvas as we did, and to really master plan something.
UTA, the Utah Transit Authority, was also looking at extending light rail from the main north-south line out to South Jordan. So that opened up additional opportunities using the existing rail lines that cut through the site that would allow us to put offices and stores and residential uses there.
The UTA will open this entire line. The Mid-Jordan line is scheduled to open on August 7th, 2011. The Bingham Junction station will also open at that time on opening day, and we hope to have a wonderful celebration with the citizens of Midvale at that point.
Within 1 year after they started redeveloping on the site, we were in the $100 to $120 million value on the property, where prior to this redevelopment and cleanup taking place, we were in the thousands of dollars in value. So we saw a huge increase in the value of that land. I don't think anybody anticipated it turning around as quickly as it did.
Affordable housing, high-level housing, supermarket, jobs, light rail, it just brought all those things. And if we hadn't found a way through the obstacles, it would still be just large piles of slag with a fence around it.
Each party brought their own interests to the table, but we had some common interests. Not that there weren't differences from time to time that we worked through. When we finally reached a solution on how we were going to do it, I think we felt good about what had been accomplished and felt like it would work.
We're getting a lot of interest from corporate users wanting to make this project their campus. And one thing they do like is the former Superfund nature of the site, that they are coming into an area that was environmentally and economically dilapidated, that you couldn't build on it. And they get excited about the revitalization of an area and what it means to Midvale City and the jobs that it can bring to Midvale City.
From time to time, I'd get questions about, so it's a Superfund site, and people were, somewhat, I wouldn't say concerned, but they questioned it. And the answer was, well, it's been cleaned, it's been checked out, and there are no issues with that. The fact of the matter here's this beautiful office building and this great lab, and you would never know it was a Superfund site unless someone told you that. So I think throughout the 450 employees that are now working here, it is absolutely, the only thing it means is that they feel a little bit better than if we went somewhere else, because they feel they've taken a part a little bit in reclaiming that site. You're doing something good for the environment that really has no impact on you, takes no extra effort and no extra money from you. What a great deal, huh?
The EPA and the city had a common goal. We both wanted to see this put into a beneficial reuse. And when you can get the local officials and the federal and state officials all on the same page, I'd say that's your biggest goal, is to try and get everybody on the same page and come out, what is it, what's the benefit to everybody? Because what you get is a site like Bingham Junction.
That's actually the highlight of this project, is to be able to look out there and see these structures going on. It's a great sense of accomplishment to realize that what 5 years ago were mountains of slag has now turned into multifamily housing, commercial centers, office park. I think it's going to be a great benefit.
You've got a lot of development going out on that property now. They all work through the institutional controls for their property. They all understand why they have to do what they have to do. And the projects are beautiful. The people enjoy living there. Businesses enjoy locating there. And the view of the mountains is gorgeous.